So,
That's all.
okay, Tanya.
Okay, thank you. I am calling the Westport Board of Health April 28th, 2025 meeting to order. Thank you. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. And I'm going to turn it over to Phil Weinberg, Vice Chair, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, everyone stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just to make a note, I know that the election has already been a couple meetings ago, and we should be doing the reorganization, but we're going to wait until all three of us can be present in the same room. So I appreciate your tolerance on that. And I'm going to turn over to the Director of Public Health, Matt Mando, and his report. First, a written report. Any comments or questions from board members?
I have none, Madam Chair.
I'm fine.
Okay, then we'll turn to Matt, your updates. I know you have some.
Sure, it's just, again, the blood drive schedule, because blood drive, it's important. Blood is in desperate need, so the next blood drive is on May 15th at St. John Baptist Church from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. June 12th, St. John the Baptist Church, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then June 12th, they're also having one at Whites of Westport, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then there's one on July 17th at Whites of Westport from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And the August to December schedule is we're still working on that. So our universal waste shed at the transfer station is in poor condition. It needs to be replaced. I contacted Covanta regarding the Covanta Communities Grant and submitted an application. We were approved for funding up to $5,000 to purchase a new universal waste shed, which they pay for, and we're aiming to have the new shed installed by June 30th or sooner. So if I put a picture on the director's report of the shed that we were looking at, and the universal waste shed basically is a collection of all of our mercury, like light bulbs and such. Just over the weekend, our transfer station foreman, we parted ways, and so now we're looking to repost a position, which I'm hoping that will be taken up tonight at the select board meeting, where they'll review it and give us permission to repost the position.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, then we're moving on to Director Approved Plans at, I'm turning it over to Matt.
Yep, just locate that. Bear with me. Okay, so we have 2-bedroom new construction on a 13,698 square foot lot at 88A Hillcrest Acres for J. Milky and C. Martin. This one is going to be using a Singular, and it's going to require a 2-bedroom deed restriction.
Okay, I had a question. Has it been COMCON reviewed? It wasn't noted, so.
Yeah, I believe it's going over after the meeting.
This is a tear down, right? And
Yes.
rebuild.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board?
No. So I move that we endorse the director approved plan at 88A Hillcrest Acres with under the condition of a 2-bedroom deed restriction and CONCOM review.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, next are the April 14th minutes. Joe, you were absent of those. Donna, any questions?
Yeah, I didn't have any issues or problems with, or changes to make with the minutes, so I move that we approve the minutes for April 14th, 2025.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
And
abstain.
one abstention. Okay, so that's 2-0 with one abstention. Great, thank you. We want to talk through, under other business, the annual town meeting, which is next on May 6th. We just want to review the articles that we are sponsoring and make sure that we all straight on that. And I have a question that we need to probably post for Board of Health at the annual town meeting.
Only if you guys want to, yeah, we'll post it.
Post it just in case
Yeah.
we need to discuss or deliberate something. Something comes up last minute.
Well, don't we usually just get together beforehand too, so we have in the past?
Yeah, let's review the article, see if we think we need to. We can post it for like 6:45 or something, just in case. But then we do have to open it and officially have minutes. So, Donna, would you be willing to take notes? Because we won't have
Recording clerk.
somebody there to take the minutes.
Absolutely, as my job as secretary of this board, I would be happy to do that.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go in order of the warrant. So Article 2 is, I'm not sure we have copies of that, is the transfer of funds from animal control to personnel to animal control expenses and transfer station expenses and personnel. The total amount being transferred out of animal control is $19,000. Matt, do we, as a result of personnel changes, do we have to modify that or anything for town meeting? This is for next fiscal year.
No, we're transferring out of animal control the remaining funds from this fiscal year
Okay.
into transfer station and a little bit into animal control expenses for the remainder of this year.
But will we need more, just because the foreman has left, and we'll need to do what, contracting for hauling?
Well, some of that, do we need one? I don't think so for the remainder of FY '25. From what we got coming down from animal control, which I believe is 5,000 into transfer station personnel, should cover us for the rest of this fiscal year with what we have remaining already, in addition to what we have remaining.
Okay, and then expenses, we don't need to contract out or any more increased contracting?
No, we're not gonna use any more, unless highway department says they won't run for us and run our containers anymore, there's no need to use contractors.
Okay, all right. So that's just, any questions on that? The board members, Matt will not be at the annual town meeting, so we need to be prepared to answer any questions. Everybody clear on that one?
Yes.
All right, that's Article 2. Article 12 is the revolving fund article, and that's combined with all of the revolving funds. Our portion of that is the $20,000 for vaccine. That's routine. I don't think there'll be any questions on the main floor about that. Any questions from board members on that?
No,
No.
Madam Chair.
It's fine.
Article 17 is the septic loan program. Yes, this is Article 17. I did look at the warrant, and the wording of the actual motion is slightly different. I'm not sure if we'll be expected to make the motion or not, so we can figure out who will make motions as needed. This is pretty standard. We've been doing it for years and years and years, and we've run out of money, so we need to go to the well, so to speak, and seek more funds to continue to do the septic loan program. Any questions on that?
No, Madam Chair.
No.
Okay, great. Article 18 is the household hazardous waste collection request for $15,000. We have, I believe, left over from the last time we did this 3 or 4 years ago, I think about 8,000. So we have enough money with this request to host another. I think, we'll have to look at the current pricing, but we'll be able to, we'll have to restrict it or add fees if there's some way of, if it gets to be an issue. But we've done this before, at least in my tenure, so I think this is pretty popular and hopefully will not be a source of issue. The funding source will be cash, and it was unanimously endorsed by the Finance Committee, so I don't expect any problems on that one. But any questions on that?
No?
No, I think it's good that finance is supporting it this time around.
Yeah.
There is Article 19, the receipts reserved for the transfer station. That's $25,000 for purchasing a roll-off container and any other sort of miscellaneous equipment or anything to support the operation of the transfer station. So we know a little. We have that. Any comments on Matt on that one? Pretty routine, right?
Yeah, it's pretty routine, so, and the way that the container prices keep climbing, 25,000 doesn't seem like enough suddenly, but we'll make it work.
Okay, I think that's it for, I did look at the budget request. I'm assuming that it's still correct. I didn't have an old version to make sure that there hadn't been any changes we weren't aware of, but I think it will be fairly quiet for Board of Health stuff, as far as I can tell. We do have, just maybe Matt, you could run through, I think the animal control is the only one where the nuances are, it's a little bit different than just the standard 3% across the board.
What are you asking me to run through?
The FY26 animal control budget, it does now, it still includes funding for a part-time animal control officer.
Yes.
We're giving that up because we hadn't been able to hire, but we now have somebody on call and could fully staff the department better if we get that funding. Right?
Yes. So that's included in the budget request for the annual town meeting. I believe it's 28,000. I think it's 28,000. And that will fund the part-time position for the year. And we do have somebody working in that role now, but through a temp agency, and it's being paid out of FY25 expenses. So if this passes, the budget passes at town meeting for animal control, then that person will be, July 1st, will be switched to an employee of the town.
That's a more long-term sustainable
Right.
option, so,
Right.
and provides better coverage to the town, so.
And it's been working out well. The person's been on call, on the off weekends now and a couple of days during the week. So we've had round-the-clock, everyday coverage now for a little over a week.
Excellent, okay. Any questions on that?
No, Madam Chair.
Just in case we're asked to explain or justify the budget, if requests. Sometimes people put holes and want answers to questions, so I just want to make sure we're prepared on that. And I don't think, there's nothing on the Board of Health, and transfer station is just to reflect what we hope will be the staffing pattern and work expenses of the transfer station. Okay, any other questions on the budget or town meeting? So we'll go ahead and plan to post a meeting for 6:45, so we can just check in if this anything happens in the next week that we can discuss, and then we can go forward for town meeting. Okay?
Sounds
All
good.
right, then let's move on to board member updates.
Just, we do have an appointment at 4:20 today.
Oh, 4:20, oh, okay. It's 4:16, anybody got a short update? We can have the rest of them after the hearings.
My short update is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there will be a list of events. There are 3 events. On May 7th, there'll be an event at the high school focusing on mental health issues and the connection between mental health issues and substance use in teens. And there'll be 2 other events which I'll have time to talk about at other meetings. But I just wanted people to be aware that at the middle high school there will be 2 meetings. There'll be an event on May 7th between 4:30 and 6 p.m.
Great, and where is that being, like, where can people find more information about that?
Well, I'm going to send something to Nancy to post on our page, but there'll be a Shorelines article. It's been submitted already, and that will be in there. And then I'm posting flyers around town, and I'll be putting up the signs all around town announcing May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so that people are aware that there are events happening.
Great, thank you very much. Okay.
And then the opioid settlement fund committee or advisory committee continues to work, and we're really pushing for feedback from community members about how to best utilize the funds. And so we're going to be doing some emailing and mailing so that people can go to use a QR code and go to a questionnaire that they can answer online. So we're going to be hopefully rolling that out in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, I think we don't probably, I know Phil, you have some stuff you want to talk about, but probably will take longer than a minute, so why don't we hold off on that? Let me just, while we're waiting till 4:20, does anybody have any topics for the next regular meeting that they would like to put on the agenda? I think we're already putting on Pine Ridge Estates comments for the next hearing.
Well, I think probably Pine Ridge Estates, just as a general topic area, will come up because, we may be, preparing comments, and so.
Yep, yeah, so we anticipate that for the agenda. We will be having a working meeting on May 20th, where we'll be talking about, our longer term projects, so just a reminder about that. Okay, well, I see on my clock, it's 4:20.
Right back.
So, I'm gonna call the 4:20 variance hearing for 33 Benjamin Tripp Drive. This is with regard to distance from the existing soil absorption system to the new structure, to a new structure foundation. And I don't think either representative here for that. Please come to the table.
Yeah, have a seat, and you'll have to click on that microphone there, one of those.
Little,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that also works though.
No. It
It's
doesn't
not
work.
working?
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Paul Mello, homeowner of 33 Benjamin Tripp Road, Westport. I asked, basically, do I keep going?
The reason why we asked Mr. Mello to come in is a building permit was issued for his addition to the garage,
Yes.
and his foundation to the garage is 15 feet away from the existing septic, which it needs to be 20 feet away. So we asked him to come in to kind of just run through it with us, but I believe the board's gonna have to issue a variance for that foundation to be that close to the septic.
Okay, Mr. Mello, go ahead and, I know it's a little awkward having me or your
That's
friend. You just go ahead and tell us what your,
So I'm building he just said, I'm adding a 1 stall to my existing 2 stall garage. The foundation footprint will be within 15 feet of the existing leaching field, which is, I guess, against regulations. So I'm basically asking for a variance because of this situation.
I'm gonna ask if board members have questions. I understand we have a new document that was distributed, which I don't have a copy of in front of me, so I'll turn it over to Phil and Donna if you have any questions.
So this is just a question for Matt, which is how, what category does this variance fall under? Is it, local upgrade approval? Is that how we're gonna
Yes,
treat it?
yes.
Okay, all right, okay. So I have no objection to it. I'm assuming you're okay with it.
Yeah, I believe the foundation is already in. It's already in, that's why it wasn't just, hey, can you move it back 5 feet?
Right, okay.
It's already in.
Okay. All right.
And a question I have is, this is just a garage and there's no intent on putting any kind of other additional, a place for people to live?
There'll be storage above it, but that's it. There'll be just storage. There's no living space.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'm prepared to move on it.
Okay.
And I'm,
I'm sorry, so do you have the citation? Because otherwise we should put that in the motion, right?
oh, the citation, the statutory, the regulatory citation? What's the citation? Oh, oh. I was just gonna refer to local upgrade approval,
Okay.
because which is what we usually do, I think.
Not looking in an approval letter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
All right, so I move to approve the variance request by, along with a plan from Paul Mello at 33 Benjamin Tripp Road. I guess we're going to call it a repair, and on a plan dated 12/2/2024. The local upgrade approval waiver is to allow a setback in the distance between the SAS and the additional garage structure from 20 feet to 15 feet. And have a hold harmless agreement with that. I don't think we need Concom or other approval.
I don't, Concom already looked at the building application.
Okay.
So I think we're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, I second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the project at 33 Benjamin Tripp Road with the condition of a hold harmless clause. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mello.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few minutes until the next hearing at 4:30. So any other, let me go back to the, just, because I think that this session, Phil, is it, do you need more than 5 minutes, or should we?
Yeah, no,
move
I
on?
think we can do it in 5 minutes, because I think that everyone's familiar with the background of this. And so coming out of the last ZBA hearing on the Pine Ridge Estates project, in which the applicant was requesting waivers, some of those for our local regulations and some for the Conservation Commission regulations, and there was some overlap between our two bodies and our two local rules regarding stormwater management systems, and then at what came out of the ZBA meeting is further study on the stormwater side as to whether or not the results of the test pits that the applicant took would support the applicant's position about putting in a detention basin, whereas the ZBA's consultant thought that compliance with the DEP stormwater regulations would require an infiltration basin. And so that issue and a number of other issues leads me to propose that we be in a position when the next set of waiver requests come and we need to decide what we want to respond to in writing to the ZBA, that it would help us to have some opinion on town councils on some of these questions, because I don't think any of us have really experience of exactly what it is that the ZBA is going to issue, and whether or not there are things that, based on our comments, they would condition their permit for, or whether they would just kind of deflect it to us when the matter came before us in the septic side and in the stormwater side. And then there were some other issues, and I circulated to Matt like 5 possible questions that we could ask town council. And I think the reason I was asking or recommending to the board is because we need to get approval from the town administrator, and I thought that it would be helpful if the board voted to support seeking town council, and then I would also present to the Conservation Commission where I thought it would be helpful to us, because I think the Conservation Commission is in the same boat that we are, as far as not really being familiar about what the relationship was between what the ZBA's authority was and how their permit would read and what we would do under our permitting regulations. And I thought, rather than just having Matt make the request, that it come with the additional weight of the board and hopefully the commission's support of that. And then we can decide, if we have that, then we can decide based on what the waiver requests the applicant actually files, that then we can decide what it is that we want to comment on, and then have that conversation with town council. So that's my proposal. We'd just be better off, I think, framing our comments in light of what town council may advise us. So,
okay, I think this is probably going to be a little bit more discussion. So let's hold that thought, and I'm going to call the 4:30 p.m. variance hearing, and we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Back there. So at 4:30 p.m. hearing is for Len Potter, representing 206 Cadman's Neck Road, Susan Aronofsky. This is a 4-bedroom repair with a 4 infiltrated on a 13,200 square foot lot. Hello, Mr. Potter.
Good evening. Or good afternoon, Glenn Potter here for Susan Aronofsky et al. The several people that own the property are all related. And 206 Cadmus Neck Road is the last house on Cadmus Neck Road.
Lenny, could you put this on your shirt, please? You can't be heard and the masses want to hear you.
Everybody wants to hear me. There you go.
Okay,
All right? I don't sing though.
okay.
Thank God.
All in favor?
I stopped myself.
So anyway, the property's the last house on Cadmus Neck Road on the left. And it's, the river is directly to the south, they own the shoreline. And there's a depression or a gut, we call it, coming down the backside of this property. And the mean high water comes up in here, and there's a coastal bank, and the coastal bank is shown on the plan. Anyway, the soils are all sand, the water table is deep. So I came up with this solution that this house now uses a cesspool. So installing a 1,500 gallon tank into a leach field consisting of quick fours, I can get approximately, not approximately, I am getting 52 feet from the owner's well and 54 feet from the well belonging to Dorothy Sang at 204. So I'm 54 feet away from that. So I need variances for both wells. And the system itself is 13 feet from the edge of the foundation wall. And what I need is, the code says 20 feet. So we're going to install a PVC barrier right around that leach field so that we have no infiltration into the basement wall. So I need two variances. 310 CMR 15.4052B. That's the distance to foundation wall, less than 20 feet. And 310 CMR 15.4051G, that's the distance between wells being less than 100 feet. I have water testing submitted to you also. The water at both properties has a high bacteria count, so they can't get an accurate count on the color form, but the nitrates are low. 206 has a nitrate level of 1.4. Ammonia is less than 0.5. Nitrates is 0.006, much less than 1. They did a special test on lead, and that's no problem. And then 204 has the same issue with the bacteria, background bacteria. Nitrates is 3.9, and ammonia is less than 0.5 again, and nitrates is again 0.006, much less than the 1 minimum. And that's where I am. I think the problem with the two shallow wells are not well pointed. And the house is closed down in September, and they took these tests in October, I guess it was, so that you get bacteria still warm, you get bacteria growing in the wells. So you have two choices, either install ultraviolet light or pump the wells, shock them with chlorine and pump them, and go from there. But they're not interested in putting the system in until the fall. So my suggestion is once they're living there in the summer months, both parties test the well again before the permit is actually issued. But that's the problem that I have. And that's it for me.
Let me just ask, do we have a butter notification for?
Yes, I have it. I don't have it with me, but I do have it. From Mrs. Sang, yes.
I can't see all the chairs, but I'm assuming there's no abutters present.
No.
Okay. Okay, we'll turn it over to Matt for his report.
Really constrained on design because there's not a lot of room over there. But for what is designed, there was no issues that I seen, so really nothing to add.
I want to just point out that the home at 204, the water is not suitable for drinking because of the
Because
high,
of the background bacteria.
well, it said high levels of manganese.
High levels of what?
Manganese.
Manganese.
Manganese is a naturally occurring element. It's
Yeah,
just
but it
like-
said it was high, but that's in 204. So I just, you know, I think it's important, I'm sure they were notified, when water testing is done, is the homeowner that had the water testing done, did they receive the results?
She forwarded them to Mrs. Sang, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Mrs. Sang is very interested. She wants to fix her septic system
Does
next.
she
so-
do, okay.
But manganese is a naturally occurring metal, just like iron. So you need to install an iron removal filter.
Okay.
Manganese and iron are naturally occurring metals in New England soils.
I'm aware of that, but I just want to make sure that the homeowner is
I've never
aware of
known
that.
it being dangerous. But that's all right. I'm not,
Certainly, too much of anything is not good,
Right.
so I think that's the issue. That's why it's not potable.
yeah.
So I just to clarify, because there's a shed that's listed here, and is it just that the shed has no foundation, or it's greater than
There's no,
15 feet?
there's no foundation.
Okay, so that's one thing. And then when you were describing the last sentence you said is something like issuing the permit after the water tests are done in the, you mean issuing this permit or a permit,
The permit to
occupancy permit kind of thing?
No, the permit to repair.
Okay,
So what I'm saying is, what they should do is, let them, they move in the house, and they start using the water, so now you get a flow, and then test it after a month or so and see what it is.
right.
If you feel the manganese is an issue, then they're gonna put a metal removing filter in there.
No, I was just trying to figure out, but you're before us today that we issue a permit, and is it right? Or that you're just
No,
telling us that
what I'm
this is what
asking-
you're intending to do?
This is what I'm going to do.
Okay, all
And-
right, I
and-
didn't understand that.
I'm not asking for a permit, I'm asking for an approved plan, and then we have to deal evidently with the water supply.
Right, right. Okay,
I mean, they have to put, not nitrate filter, an iron removal filter. I do have,
yeah,
they
okay.
did lead results, and the lead is fine. That's attached at the end. But evidently, they send this out to Barnstable County Health Laboratory to get the lead. It's here, certificate of
I have it.
analysis, Barnstable County Health Laboratory.
Mhm.
So I guess, Envirotech Labs doesn't do that. But in both cases, the lead is fine.
Okay, so I apologize for my density here, because I know that sometimes you come and you request, like, conceptually, this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
But now you're asking for us to approve the plan,
right.
but at some later point, you'll file a construction application, a permit application? I'm just trying to figure out what.
I don't think you
That's what I'm
can
confused,
issue
because-
the permit to Aronofsky until you have a good source of water.
Right, okay,
So I'm not asking to pull a permit. All I'm asking is, if the plan looks good to you, you can vote on the variances. And then
okay.
subject to the water quality being checked.
Okay, so that's, okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Okay?
I think that's different than, so we're gonna issue an approval with that condition,
That's right.
okay, which in my, okay, that's fine, okay.
Madam Chair, since you're off to the side, I'm going to speak up to say that I know you're trying to say something.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt. So I think Phil has got clarification on the intent there to have a conditional approval. But I wanted to raise the issue, I know the nitrates are low in the wells, but of course they're not active. They were tested during their not active season, so there were no occupants and no septic flow. But it's right on the river. It's right above the river. You know, it's very close to the coastal bank. And I'd like you to discuss why you don't think D-Night would be necessary.
Well, the nitrate level is low, the ammonia is low, and the nitrates are low, and the bacteria is background bacteria. So I don't see that that's an issue. I mean, if you want another water test, we are gonna do a water test once these wells get opened up. And then let's see what the nitrates looks like then when there is flow. They're gonna move in probably after Memorial Day, if not sooner. So, all I can tell you is I don't see where there's a problem with nitrates. If there was nitrates in the well, it would be there even if the well wasn't being used.
Even when there's no septic flow.
Right.
Well, I take your point about the wells not appearing not to be impacted, but just the proximity to the river still is a concern to me. So I just want to flag that.
I think the answer is when we do the next water test, when these houses are opened up, let's see where it takes us from there. If the nitrates come back above 5, then we gotta do D-nite. But as of right now, we don't have to, but we have to clear up the background bacteria and the manganese.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board?
None for me, Madam Chair.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So I think we want a motion that would be to approve the project contingent upon subsequent water testing meeting acceptable standards, and otherwise I would ask Mr. Potter to return with the proposed solutions to that. You know, whether it's just depending on what the results are, we can't kind of condition all the eventualities at this point, is my opinion. So is there, you ready to make a motion?
I can do it, or you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I would move to approve the plan for Susan Aronofsky et al. At 206 Cadman Neck Road, a 4-bedroom repair on a plan dated 3/28/25, subject to Conservation Commission review, a 4-bedroom deed restriction, a local upgrade waiver of the distance from the SAS to the basement wall from 20 feet to 13 feet, setback from the SAS to the well, the site well to be 52 feet, the abutter well at 204, Cadman Neck to be 54 feet, a hold harmless agreement, and conditional upon subsequent water testing showing acceptable levels of nitrate and other contaminants, bacterial in the well, and provision of the abutter notifications to the board office.
Do we also need 3 years of water testing?
Oh, and 3 years of, we do, okay, yeah, 3 years of well testing, sorry, I
For
forgot that.
both wells.
Yes,
yeah.
for both.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. So I second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the project at 206 Cadman Neck Road with those conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you.
If I can make one more comment, the other thing, Tanya, these are both summer homes that get shut down after Labor Day, and a D-nite system without that constant flow would not work as efficient. It won't work at all. It needs to have food for the bacteria continually. But someday
I think there's,
huh?
yeah, I think there are some newer technologies that work better with seasonal systems, but I'm not an expert, so I take the point.
Everybody's an expert when it comes to selling these systems.
I would never claim to be
Me
an
neither.
expert on that.
That's right. That's
I
right.
would never claim to be an expert.
Neither would I. They're all great
Okay.
when you get one. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Lionel.
I'll leave your microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll know all your secrets.
Okay, I'm gonna call the unanticipated topic of an emergency repair variance hearing for Horizon Big Plans for 541 Old Bedford Road. Alex Gordetsky, property owner and engineer, represented here by his wife, I believe.
Yeah. I'm not an engineer.
Can you put that?
Whatever. Yeah, I'm not an engineer. He had dental appointment today, so I know he has submitted a project for septic system, and it's in the process. And I just noticed water was accumulating, so I called septic pump service A&D last week, and the guy came and he pumped it. You know, it's full, and he said the wall is collapsing. There's like big stone he showed me. It's on the bottom. It should be up. But the wall is, and some area around a little bit like, you know, lower level than the surrounding area. He said, don't step on it. It's kind of collapsing, so in a process. So he said, fix it as soon as possible. And I told Alex before, so we just kind of, I know he's doing project, but I told him about that, and he's okay. I'll just, you know, pass it to the town of Westport and see if he can start as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Matt, I'm gonna have you walk us through it. I don't have the documents. I can get, I'll go back and forth, but I don't have the documents in front of me, so.
Yeah, so as stated, the cesspool walls are collapsing, and it falls under the emergency repair provision in Title V, and the other reason was there was an added variance. So these plans were approved previously for this property, but recently, earlier in the month, there was an added variance request that wasn't part of the original approval. So that's why we're here as well, to approve this added variance request to fully approve these plans. So the added variance request is for the septic tank invert separation from the groundwater table to 2 inches. That was not part of the original plan approval request.
And 2 inches, what's the normal?
From 12 inches down to 2 inches.
12 to 2, okay.
It's the ground, and there's also one for the pump tank invert from 12 inches to 1 inch in the plan that.
But I think that one was previously
Okay,
approved.
I see. Okay,
This one
all
was
right.
just, this one was added on
Okay.
to that other,
Okay.
we already heard that one.
Yeah, but but we're going to approve this plan. We should go back over that
So
because
what
we're
you
going to
wanna
do
do,
that.
I can,
Well, I don't, you tell me what to
Yeah,
do.
we can do
I'm just
that.
looking at the plan that we're approving, and it has these waiver requests in it. So
yeah, I think I do
we
that.
can
for
frame
you.
it the other way, but it just seems more straightforward to do it this way. And this, and then we'd have, this plan is revised April 2nd, 2025. The other one's March 2022.
Okay, so the original plan, this is the original plan, and there says revisions submitted. These are the original variance requests.
Yeah, yeah,
So this one that's added would have to be added to that list.
right. Oh, yeah.
So do we have a revised plan with that additional variance on it?
Yeah.
Yes,
we
this
do.
one
It's-
does.
Yeah, yeah, it's part of the package.
Okay.
So, setback, perk test, 12.
I don't see a date.
This actually has the, oh, it
There
doesn't have the, this has the 12 inch to 1 inch here, but it
This is
doesn't
the new
have this
plan.
12 inch to 2 inch.
But
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, he wanted to go 12 inch
Yeah,
to 2 inch.
yeah,
He changed
yeah.
it.
But that's all here.
Okay, so you got this all there?
Yeah, that's all,
There's a
yeah, all
revised date
all these are here.
of
Okay.
April 2nd, 2025.
Setback, tank, let's see, septic tank.
I can't see the date on my
I
screen.
have my thing here. Oh, let's see. Okay, oh, I see. So some of this, right, so it doesn't have the, okay, so it doesn't have the well set, this plan, the April 2nd plan does not have the setbacks from the well that is in the March plan. So, so if you think that everything that is in this plan, then we could refer to this plan and just add the 2-inch separation.
Yes, well,
Okay,
we just,
because otherwise, this plan is incomplete.
so this is the plan that was approved. This one was from John Stamp,
Okay,
and then they added that other variance. So I would, if you're gonna go by what was approved
Oh, I
more recently, it's
see.
this plan here.
okay, okay. All right, well, so this plan, Matt, right, this is, right. Okay. So this plan has the groundwater separation of 12 inches to 2 inches and the groundwater separation of 12 inch to 1 inch. So that's both in this. This is the,
Is that the
but it doesn't have
revised?
our approved stamp. Oh,
That's Concom.
huh?
That's Concom.
Non-com. Okay, so this matches this, and it's the, yeah,
Right,
so this is the paper version of this.
yes,
Okay,
all right.
but I'm just saying it doesn't have the setbacks that are in the March 2nd plan. And, this plan does have the 12-inch to 2-inch. So what, but let's see. Okay. I mean, I don't know. What's your pleasure, Matt? Because you're gonna have a final plan. Okay.
Right.
See, these are setbacks here. These are those are not listed up here. This is the variances requested here.
Right, so this plan here has a septic tank invert separation from 12 to 1.
I got that part. What I'm
You
saying is
change
it
it.
doesn't have this part. The distances, the setback distances from the tank to the,
In the newest iteration of the plan,
I don't know, I haven't looked for that.
well, that's right here.
I know, no, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have that in there.
Okay, I think we should just do the approval and add this new variance in, and just include all the variance requests in the newest iteration of the plan, and that way we'll be covered.
Fine. I won't argue with you. Okay. All right.
So, just a question. So all we're doing now is approving the plan with the variances that are on the plan. We're not doing all the other conditions, or are we doing the conditions as well?
You know what, just to be safe, we should just probably just do it as we're approving it, add the conditions, and that way, it's just like we're doing, that way we don't have to come back and say we forgot to do the conditions. It seems to me to be just the best way to cover it all.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Do we have the prior approval?
Yeah, it's sitting right here in front of us. It's just
Okay, I
that,
don't have that, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know what that
yeah.
is.
I mean, the problem, if I can say this succinctly, is that the March plan has all the waiver requests except for the 2-inch separation request. This plan, the April 2nd plan, does not have the well setback requests that are in the March plan. It only has the groundwater separation waivers. And so, and it's a little hard, I'm assuming that the, that the same distances are set out here. So I think what you're saying is just do them all together.
Yes.
Okay, all right, and then, okay, so I think I can do that.
Right, I'm gonna request that you, as part of the motion, you include a revised plan that has all of the, has it
Yeah,
has it
uh-huh.
consolidated, everything's
Right.
got
Okay. Okay. So, I think I understand what you're saying. So, I move to approve the plan for Alex Grodewski at 541 Old Bedford Road, which is a 4-bedroom repair, on that will reflect the plans dated March 8th, 2022, and April 2nd, and April 2nd, 2025. Subject to Concom approval, a 4-bedroom deed restriction, a local upgrade waivers, including a reduction of the well setback system from the septic tank from 50 feet to 14 feet, a reduction of the well setback from the pump tank of 50 feet to 26 feet, a groundwater separation reduction of the septic tank invert from 12 inches to approximately 1 inch, and a separation from groundwater to the pump tank of 12 inches to 1 inch. Also, approval of the sieve analysis, a hold harmless agreement. I don't know if you want to say anything about the reduction of the bedroom, or that's just in the plan and
It's
we
just in the plan. Yeah.
don't. Okay, so and that's it.
Okay, I second that.
I have a question. You said a 4-bedroom deed restriction?
Oh, why is it not? I think.
Big lot.
It's a 37-acre lot. So
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I have to take that back.
Okay, so amend the motion to remove.
No, I didn't
that.
even have it in my notes. I don't know why I said it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
No,
Yes,
no
let me
deed
just-
restriction.
Let me just ask, is that motion complete, Matt? Do we have everything we need?
I think it's complete. Did we ask for just a set of updated plans to include everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good, complete.
Did you get that, Bob? Okay, so we need to be clear for Bob.
So it just so that the plan will be in the form of a substitution of a revised plan that will incorporate all the waivers that I referenced. Or do you have those? Should I go through it again?
I can email them to you, Bob. It's not a big deal. Well, actually it is.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, it says he wants to reflect them in.
That's right.
So.
Basically, you want conditions from both sets of plans, all on the new plan,
That's right.
approved, revised plan.
Yes.
He can send over the draft minutes and then I can look at what he has and I
Yeah.
can revise them as needed.
I understand it the same way he does, that the new plan has to have all the variances that are recorded on the old plan and the new plan.
Right, on the old plan and the added new variants all have to be on one set of revised plans now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the conditions of Concom approval and
Hold harmless and,
harmless.
yeah, and the sieve analysis.
Okay, I think we're clear. Any further questions or comments? If not, I'll call the vote for approval at 541 Old Bedford Road for Alex Grodewski with the conditions as outlined and a revised plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? So can he start building, or is he doing anything else?
So he's gonna have to submit the revised plans and that way we can stamp them once they come back from Concom approved, and then he'll be able to start moving forward because he'll have approved plans.
Okay. So
I mean, that doesn't take too long, if he gets the revised plans into us tomorrow, it only takes, a day.
So I should tell him to do revised plans, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he knows where to submit it. Okay.
Yeah, and if he has any questions, he can give me a call.
Okay, you bet. Okay, thank you so
Yes,
much.
you will.
Thank you.
Bob, what I was saying was, it's not a big deal to email over you the list of variances so you can put them into the minutes, correctly, if you wanted to enumerate them in exactly the way they need to be.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, we're gonna go back to the board member updates. Phil was requesting a preemptive sign out, sort of authorization from the board to access town council if needed for submitting comments to the ZBA for the next round of waiver requests coming from the Pine Ridge Estates developer. I would just note, I think my understanding is that stormwater is really not, our bailiwick. It's sort of superseded by planning board stormwater regulations which deal with development, and that's what this is. We normally only deal with single-family projects, single-family residential projects. So I think we may not, it's exceeding our reach a little bit to get too much into the weeds on the stormwater for a development, because we don't have regulations that govern developments, is my understanding. And to me, it sounds like that the ZBA has a consultant who's sort of digging into the weeds on this on behalf of the ZBA and the planning board. However, if there are concerns, we will have a meeting on May 12th, which will be right after they have to submit the deadline for them submitting the new waiver request. So that's why I was saying we can put Pine Ridge on the agenda then for discussion. So, if it's sort of administratively beneficial to have a vote about the potential for accessing town council, I would not proceed with that until we get the waiver request. But I don't have any objection to putting our request, formalizing that potential request.
Yeah, there are, I agree with you about the stormwater part of it. Our last comment letter specifically requested the ZBA not to waive our local stormwater regulation. And so it may be in light of how this discussion comes out, we would not include that in our final letter, assuming that that we wouldn't make an issue out of that. But there are some other particular Board of Health issues that were the ones that I thought would be helpful to get some answers to from town council, because I have some concerns, and I know that some of the abutters have expressed concerns about what the impact of like all 38 homes drawing well water will have, where there's enough water quantity there. I'm not sure that we can do anything about it, given the status of our regulations. So I wanted to ask town council about that. Was that something we could address, ask for the applicant to do something in anticipation of that issue? And then I know that Matt had commented on the perk test issue, which I think is a kind of a live issue. And again, just to see if, when we look at it again, that's just kind of have the benefit of someone who's familiar with the ZBA process to see if there's more information to that's really necessary, because as I understand it, the presumption is that the ZBA will waive anything that the applicant wants unless we make, this is my word, kind of a compelling case that there's a real concern there. and so kind of override the presumption that the ZBA has, you know, or that the ZBA statute has, that local rules will generally be waived unless there's, you know, a significant reason why they're, you know, why they're not waived. So, anyway.
Yep, I think you're correct in that assessment. We can only deal with local regulations that we have on the books. So that would be our local septic regulation, which does cover the perk test, and our local stormwater regulation, which I don't think really applies in this case, or is sort of superseded by other regulations, and
Right.
with more expertise in that realm.
Right.
I don't know the overlap with Concom. That would be something you would be more attuned to. So I think, you know, I think we can comment on anything we want, whether that is legally sort of in the scope or not. You know, even as private residents, you know, you can always comment. So I think we can make comments about what we see from our perspective, irrespective. We need to address specific waiver requests, but we can make general comments saying, and I think we did that already with regard to concerns about the proposed design of 38 individual IA systems, which would be a tremendous burden to oversee and manage for the Board of Health. So I think we've already done that, and I don't see any reason why we can't continue to do that. And the ZBA, it's up to the ZBA to take those comments or not take them, as to, you know, in the scope of their review or not, or sort of influence. But, that's sort of my take on it. But I think we should anticipate spending some time on May 12th, assuming we have the revised waiver request to formulate how we want to comment. And then, you know, at that meeting, we can determine if we need to pursue access to town council. But we can make the motion now so that it's, you know, Matt can proceed expeditiously if needed.
Okay.
So
Matt?
You want to say about this?
Well, my question is, if it's not on the agenda, can we vote on it? Can we vote on?
I mean, you're, probably not. It's not explicitly, I mean, updates are to share information.
Right.
So,
Okay.
thank you for that administrative, you know, for the procedural, thing. So let's anticipate putting on the agenda for May 12th, and we can turn around right away to the 13th if necessary. We'll put on the May 12th meeting, in addition to board reorganization, we'll put the Pine Ridge Estates potential request for town council access as part of that discussion. Anything else? Let me turn first back to Matt. Phil, for any other updates you want to share?
Well, just by way of information for anyone who might watch this over the next couple of days, the Westport River Watershed Alliance is holding their electronics recycling this Saturday, and you can go to their website for details on the timing and, you know, what kind of electronics are acceptable, and it's usually located at the town hall.
Great, thank you. Yes, that's a much welcome opportunity to get rid of all those old electronic devices
Defunct.
and boards and all that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
everybody seems to accumulate. So excellent. Thank you for the Watershed Alliance.
And I could also just mention, it's not related, it's not a Board of Health event, but there is going to be an event at the middle high school on Saturday called, well, it's about Stroke Buddies. It's an organization that has information about stroke, and there's a very large number of people that are members, and I believe South Coast Health is going to have some presence there, and I believe there's a touch a truck or something that's happening as well for kids, but it's an event that's happening through the day, and of course heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and stroke are something that as a nurse and Board of Health member I certainly am concerned about. So if anybody has time to go and spend, I think it's all day, it's from like 9 to 3 o'clock, to try to attend that.
Great, thank you for reminding us about that. Certainly, any important health events and opportunities are good for us to promote. Okay. So any other topics for the next regular meeting, which will be May 12th? Again, reminder, we have a board, working meeting on May 20th where we can talk about ADU bedroom policy and well regs and all sorts of longer term projects that we are working on.
I don't have any, Madam Chair. I can't
Nope.
think of anything.
Okay, we've covered unanticipated stuff. Then I believe.
Well, if there's no other further business, I move that we adjourn this meeting at 5:12.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your attendance.